fresh ground sausage and made from scratch puff pastry come together to form this British staple, the sausage roll. I'm going to attempt to make a British sausage roll. I have heard about these and I feel like I'm missing out a little bit because I have never tried one. We can't get them here in the States. So I'm going to have to make one from scratch for myself and give it a go. For the recipe, I will be using the British Cookbook, so let's have a gander at what needs to happen. The first ingredient will be 1 quantity of rough puff pastry. You just start with your flour, then you take butter that has been cut into 1/2-inch cubes and frozen solid. You dump that in the flour, you coat it well, and then you just start adding cold water until it comes together into a very loose, shaggy dough, and form it into a rough disc on the bottom of your mixing bowl. You turn that out and you start rolling it flat into a rectangle. No need to mess about smashing the butter with your hands before you start rolling it. You just go right into it and you touch it as little as possible to keep everything as cold as possible. After the first roll, when I have a good sized rectangle, I did a double book fold. So I folded the 2 ends in towards the middle to where they met. And then I folded it again and ended up with 4 layers. I rolled those 4 layers out into a rectangle again and repeated the fold 1 more time, rolled it out into a rectangle, repeated the fold 1 last time, and rolled it out flat 1 last time. It was a nice smooth dough by the end of the process, and I moved very, very quickly. It took maybe 10 minutes to get through the whole thing start to finish. And I like this recipe because it doesn't involve refrigerating the dough after each roll. When you start with the frozen and you don't smash it with your hands, you can get through it real quick. That brings us to the meat and potatoes of the situation, the sausage in the sausage rolls. I will need 400 grams of sausage meat, and for that I am turning back to the pork, beef, and lamb section, where there are recipes for Lincolnshire sausages and Cumberland sausages. I figured I would make a batch of each so I can test both of them to see which one I like better. To get started on the sausages, I will need some ground pork, and I bought some pork loin yesterday and cut it into small pieces. Hacked it into small pieces is a better description of my knife skills. But anyways, I got it into smaller pieces. Now I need to set up my meat grinder and try to grind this meat. So this is all coming out of the freezer to keep it as cold as possible. We'll see how that works out. I have the meat grinder assembled internally already. Try to get it on here. Let me turn this around so it's feeding into. There we go. Maybe this is a little bit too frozen. There's no way this is going to grind. Maybe I got some bad intel. I can't even pull it apart. There's no way it's going to grind. Poop. Okay, well, maybe I need to let this thaw out for like an hour and then come back. Yikes. So I put that in the microwave on defrost, which, I don't know, seems stupid having frozen it and then defrosting in the microwave. And we'll see how it goes. While that is defrosting, let's talk about another ingredient that it calls for, breadcrumbs. And I looked into it a little bit, and breadcrumbs are acceptable for homemade sausages. It's a wide variety of preferences, but another very British thing to use in sausages is something called Rusk. Never heard of it, never seen it, but I had to figure out what it was. And I found a recipe to make it on YouTube. I think the chef was called Scott Ray, R-E-A. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I made some rusk. It was a pretty straightforward process, and I have a big bowl of it here. I'm going to use this for the sausage meat as the breadcrumbs. Apparently it can hold more moisture than average breadcrumbs, so it helps the sausages retain juiciness and fat better so that they're more flavorsome and delicious. Okay, this is still icy, but not frozen solid. So let's start with the Cumberland sausages. A favorite in the world of English sausages, this pork sausage is best known for its pepperiness, the dominant spicing. Serve these with mashed potatoes. And it gives a recipe for bangers and mash right below it. 500 grams of ground pork. Woo, right on the dot. 100 grams of pork fat. So we have the pork and the pork fat. I'm just gonna set this to grind. Where are you, grind? Number 10. And I'm gonna start feeding it through the grinder. Okay, easy enough. Now let's get the meat mix for the Lincolnshire sausages. 500 grams of pork. For this one, 150 grams of fat, so it has a higher fat percentage than the Cumberland did. Let me know, is that correct? Okay, both batches here. The Lincolnshire is in the large bowl. Cumberland is in the cozy bowl. Okay, Cumberland sausages, I am going to need a tablespoon of breadcrumbs. You need a teaspoon of ground black pepper, quarter teaspoon of ground white pepper. Gonna need a quarter teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I admit to eyeballing that. Oop, wait a minute, half a teaspoon of nutmeg. So quite a bit more actually. Half a teaspoon of mace. I'm gonna use a quarter teaspoon of dried ground sage. Okie dokie, pig in a pokey. Mix this all together. I got distracted and forgot about my coffee. Okay, Lincolnshire seasoning, 150 grams of breadcrumbs. That is so much more rusk. I need 2 teaspoons of salt, and that makes me realize that I didn't put salt in the Cumberland. 1, 2, rock on my shoe, 3, 4. 2 teaspoons of salt in those ones too. What next, what more? What next, what more? Quarter teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of dried sage. And for this one, instead of the powdered sage, I'm using sage leaves. Although this is supposed to be an herbier sausage, so I'm gonna cheat a bit and use a heaping half teaspoon. Very heaping. I'm gonna go in with my hands for this one. That's a lot of breadcrumbs to try to fold in with a rubber spatula. Oh, that is still freezing cold. Okay, Lincolnshire, done. Cumberland, done. It is now time to get down to business and actually make these stinging sausage rolls. A simple but much beloved British treat, the filling of a humble sausage roll practically invites experimentation using different flavors and spices. The stalls of almost any British market are a testament to just how many successful combinations can be made. Serve this flaky treat warm or cold with English mustard. All right, we have the Rough Puff Pastry, we have the sausage meat. I just need to make an egg wash and we're good to go. Oven is at 225. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna divide this into 2 parts, one with the Cumberland sausage, one with the Lincolnshire sausage. And it says it invites experimentation, which is exactly what I am going to do. I have a couple of mix-ins. First of all, apple and pecan. I'm going to mix that in with the Cumberland sausage. I think the apple and pecan will go well with the mace, the nutmeg, the extra pepperiness of the Cumberland. And to go with the herbiness of the Lincolnshire sausage, I'm going to do a roasted poblano pepper and some Oaxaca cheese. Not all of it. I'm going to do half with the original sausage by itself and half with the mixed in flavors, just to experiment a little bit. But it seems like such a fun thing to play around with. Starting with the Cumberland sausage, I'm going to do a little row right down the middle char. The thickness of the sausage log in the middle is debatable, apparently. Some like it thicker, some like it thinner. That seems quite chunky. Let's thin that out. I have the sausage bowl in the sink. I'm not just, just throwing my sausage in the sink. This Cumberland sausage meat smells delicious. It says it should be about 1.5 inches thick. Well, that seems about right. I'm also going to divide this in half. Add the roasted poblanos to this half. And then some Oaxaca cheese. Let's smash it down to one end so I can do a better job of rolling it up. Smash this end down. I'm going to bring this up. Some egg wash on there. And roll it tightly. Roll it up. Gonna put these in the refrigerator to firm up for 30 minutes with the Cumberland sausage. Oh no! Crud. I was supposed to do the poblano and the Oaxaca with the Lincolnshire, not the Cumbrian. I'm supposed to do the apple pecan with the Cumbrian. Whatever. It's not the end of the universe. Okay, the Lincolnshire sausage. This one. Maybe I should try to smash in the apple pecan mixture. Sort of blend it into the sausage better. Oh no! How stupid was that? I'll have the normal half will be okay. I just totally... God, that was dumb. All right, I'm going to put these into the icebox to chill out for 30 minutes as well. And when I come back, it will be time to cut them and put them in the oven. Okay, here we go. I have the Cumberland Sausage here. Should just leave that in the refrigerator while I'm working with it. I'm going to cut them in half. Seems like it might be kind of big. But cutting them into quarters, it seems like it might be kind of small. And I am supposed to neaten up the edges. Okay, brush the tops with egg wash. And then make little slices. In the tops. 3 slices in the tops of the Cumbrian ones. Okay, repeating the process with the Lincolnshire sausage. Rolls. Well, this works out. That little unfortunate hole I made in this middle of this one can be hidden by being sliced. These already look delicious and they are not even cooked. I'm sorry, this is crazy. Crazy. And I'm going to put 4 slashes in the top of the rolls with the Lincolnshire sausage. In these go for 25 minutes. I think they're ready to come out of the oven. They've been in there for like 30 minutes. I left them in for a while to get a nice dark brown. Or at least a medium brown. They smell crazy good. I am genuinely excited to try these. All right, now it is time for the best part, the taste test. Let's start with the Cumbrian sausage, the plain. This has all of the spices: nutmeg, mace, white pepper, black pepper. That's tasty. Wow. That sausage it does have a lot of depth to it, complexity, but also subtlety. It's not overwhelming. The Cumbrian sausage, I like that a lot more than I was expecting. Let's try the Lincolnshire sausage roll. Wow. All right, I gotta be honest, I like this sausage better than the Cumbrian. The herbier flavor is right up my alley. They're both tasty, don't get me wrong. Interesting. Again, it's not slap you upside the face taste. There's no smoke. It's not crammed full of like very spiciness. It's a subtle flavor, but it's a tasty flavor. Where has this been all my life? Now let's try the one with the apple and the pecan, Lincolnshire, and then we'll end with the one with the serrano peppers and the cheese. The apple doesn't give it a lot of sweetness. It really balances out the flavor. There's not a strong apple flavor, but it's there. Just a little bit of a pecan in there to give it a little bit deeper, earthier, nutty flavor. Yeah, that's a tasty combination. I'm loving all of these so far. How can I choose my favorite? And let's finish up with the one that I think is the most Americanized, even though it's Mexican influenced with the serrano peppers, or the, not serrano, poblano, and the Oaxaca cheese. I think this would probably be the most alien to most British people, but it is an American version in that it takes different cultures and smashes them together into Frankenstein food. You know what? That's really delicious too. There's not so much cheese that it's gooey. There's not so much pepper that it overwhelms. It's actually, honestly, solid addition. I'm happy with that. I do think it would have been better using the Serrano and Oaxaca with the Lincolnshire herby sausage. I think the flavors would have complemented each other better, which was my original intent, but I goofed it. You know, the apple and the pecan was delicious with the sagey Lincolnshire. It probably would have been really good with the Cumberland sausage too. I'm gonna have to play around with them. Wow, 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 wow. I'm gonna give sausage rolls a 10 out of 10 because they are delicious. I'm gonna devour a couple of them in their entirety. If you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps more than you can know. If you have not already and you would like to, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the future.